Welcome to the Behind the Drapes podcast. I'm your host, Expo Rich. We are recording here at SISO Leadership Conference here in Indianapolis. And I have Jess Tyler, VP of Wellness Group with Questex. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I was fortunate enough to meet you some years ago through a couple of iterations of your career, and we've been able to stay in touch and over time. And I was happy to have you on to learn about your new position. So, but before we get there, I do want to talk about your origin story. How did you get your first step on a show floor or meet your first company that you are?
Oh gosh. It's funny, I've been actually in the event industry since I got out of college. I ended up working for Experian actually for the first several years, which, was Expo Exchange, Galaxy, Confron, at one point in time, now Merits. So I was working in registration. Yeah. And the first show that they sent me to was in Vegas. It was my first time in Vegas. And it was Expo. And
it's a big one.
It really was. I worked in international registration, which that is a life-changing experience when you're new to the industry. And I just remember walking around and thinking, this is so cool. Yeah. This is what I want to do with my life. Yeah. It really was. That was the moment for me.
Yeah, I always find that when someone comes in, it's either I love it or run for the hills.
Oh, because it's 100%. And usually you can tell if someone's first show, if they're not wearing comfortable shoes, they're out for, you'll never get them back. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And that's definitely a must because, we track some miles when we.
Oh yeah.
What's your highest step count?
So I had a team years ago that we used to give everyone pedometers before they were on our phones, and we would actually do contests every day. Yeah. So operations always won. They were logging 8 to 10 miles a day. Yep. So the sales team was stuck in the show office or the sales office. They were so mad.
They're like, I got to get my steps in.
Right.
They're like, I'm going to choose to go to the farthest bathroom.
Right.
So, that's great. And so I had mentioned that you had worked for a few different companies. So at first you started in registration. What was your next move into the industry?
I did work in associations for a short period. I was with American Society of Civil Engineers, but then I spent actually a good bit of my career over at Access Intelligence. And I would say that's probably my first intro into the for-profit show organizer side, which was a great fit for me. I started there as a conference manager doing speaker management, content development of industries I knew nothing about. I had oil and gas, I had operating room managers, the satellite show for aerospace.
Very diverse industry.
Honestly, it was, I would say that's probably my favorite part about working in this industry is you get to learn about so many industries and markets that you wouldn't any other way.
It's funny. I say that all the time. I get to be kind of like that jack of all trades for a conversation because if there's an industry, we're doing a show with them and you learn a little bit about everything and some things perk your interest and you learn more, but it's you talk about thoracic surgeons and you could talk about aerospace. So you
really can. Yeah.
It's such a great thing to be able to touch all these different industries so throughout your stages of your career, and now you're vice president, you're in leadership now. Throughout your career, who's been some instrumental people that have helped you along the way and pulled you up?
I feel like every stage of my career, I've had a really great mentor and sponsor, and I would attribute a lot of my success over the years to that. I think the first person when I think of mentor that comes to mind for me is Jen Heinold, who's now over at Avixa.
Yeah.
She was at Access Intelligence and hired me there, and she knew I wanted to be a show director. She helped me kind of move up through the ranks. So I have actually done every job there is to do on the organizer side, from sales and operations. I've had kind of a taste of all of it thanks to her.
Yeah.
And of course, Don Pizor, who was CEO there at the time. Great leader, really inspirational about, what your leadership style is and how to engage with everyone. My favorite thing about him was he would walk up and down the halls of the office back when, we were all in the office 5 days a week. And it didn't matter whether you were an intern or an executive, he would stop and talk to every single person and ask them what they're working on and be able to hold a conversation about it. And I just think that made someone who was new to the company, especially at that time, it made a huge difference in my development and getting exposure and having access to senior leadership.
Yeah. That's great. And it is very important because it makes you feel like you have like way more growth opportunity when you don't feel so like it's not like a caste system, So
Exactly. And I think so like that phase I thought really taught me about the event business, especially the for-profit side, the independent organizer. And then I went from there and I worked at MJ Biz, which was such a cool experience. And Cassandra Farrington was a co-founder there, and I loved working for her. I think she's so smart, so humble, and really I learned a lot about being an entrepreneur there. It's really different when the owner is the person whose office is right next to you. You're not reporting into private equity or a public. It is truly like working on building and being, honestly really responsible with money and thinking through ideas, but also not being afraid to try new things, and they either work and you throw, gasoline on the fire, or you fail fast and move on to something else. And that was just such a cool experience to go through, that I owe her, and then, her business partner, and just so much because they brought me on.
Having that ability to try things, and even if you're going to fail, it's like it's such a great thing because it just brings your experience level so much higher that every time, that next time, now you've already you have a tool chest of like what to do to navigate the next effort. So for sure,
exactly,
for sure. What's something that you're excited about rounding this year out or getting into next year?
I'm excited about a lot. So I've been at Questex now for a year. It's been really an amazing experience, just getting to know my market. I'm over wellness, so for us that's beauty, spa, and fitness. So learning a market is always, I would say one of the most fun parts of the job, and the key players. And I will say this is probably the first market I've ever worked in that I inherently understand as a consumer. So I walk the show floor and I know what everything is. First time for me.
It's like about time.
Right? Working for, the Questex leadership, they're so great. Paul especially, about that they bringing together kind of that corporate mindset with the entrepreneurial mindset. I think that's why it's been such a great fit for me, because it kind of merges my backgrounds together. And I'm really excited about leaning into some of the newer technologies and seeing the growth of the market. So, wellness market, huge. And it's still being defined, to be honest, which is a neat time to be in this space, because you get to help kind of decide what is wellness, where does it fit in the the broader ecosystem with healthcare. And so I'm really excited to be exploring that. Obviously on the technology side, I don't think I could sit here and not say the word AI, right? Probably that's on front of everyone's mind. We are piloting some programs internally with AI to see how it's used. And for me, I look at all the trends over the years in the event industry where we're like, this is going to be next, the next big thing. Quite frankly, I remember when mobile apps came out, and we were all trying to figure out how to, get adoption, how to make them work. And AI is going to be so much bigger than that. It's so they're not the same, but the approach to it of us all kind of as an industry figuring out like, what does this mean for us? How are we going to use it? And honestly, doing it really poorly in the beginning. With the mobile app example, we just took our websites and we dumped them on an app. It wasn't even a native app yet at that point. It was like another version of a website. We all did it so poorly. And I think AI, we're going to have to go through that, trying to figure out how to really effectively use it to engage our audiences and to grow our businesses. And I know I have a team that is very excited about it. We're trying out some new tech ways to make our jobs easier, and not necessarily... I don't think it replaces the workforce at all.
No.
But what it does do is enhance what we're doing. I have a team that without them knowing the market and knowing what prompts to put into AI,
Prompts are everything.
Right? Like I'm terrified actually about like what the world's going to look like when the people who know how to ask the questions aren't around anymore.
Right.
You have to know what you want to get out of it. Like what you put in is what you get out.
Yeah.
So you have to know that.
Completely agree. Yeah, and it's like, knowing where you want to be, but you can't quite how to get there. Then it's like, how do we reverse engineer, what we're trying to accomplish into prompts? And same thing. At our company, we literally have like a Teams group that are just dedicated to like AI idea. Like it's kind of an idea mill, and it's like trying things out and demoing and this and that. And because we're using it for, obviously we're building booths and we're building creative things, so we're using it on the creative side, we're doing it on the data side, we're doing it. There's so many different applications for it, and it's like I was like, I want everyone to try everything. What can we do to make our jobs easier? Where's our heavy lift? Right. That we can then integrate something that does it. So
as long as it's not, becomes like technology for technology's sake.
Right.
Like, hey, I want to get on this bandwagon because everybody else is doing it. Like, you have to know what the purpose is or what you're trying to get out of it and have goals. I'm really big into like, I don't want to collect data or do something if I don't have a purpose for it.
Data for data's sake.
If it's just going to slow down, let's say, the registration process or the user experience on site, like, you need to have a reason for it.
Yeah, and like we talk about enhancing the experience, because the thing is, like, if you just become a data company, we're no longer a face-to-face industry, so and the whole point of this is what we do now, and why we do this industry is creating marketplaces, bringing people together.
Exactly.
Yeah. And so you've been coming to a few SISO events over the years, and I always like to ask, like, what's one of the benefits that you see in attending SISO? What does it do for you in your career?
I've been coming since, actually, I want to say 2012. I was trying to think about this earlier. So it's been a number of times I've been here, and for me, it's a lot about the networking, of course. I mean, we're a face-to-face industry, so there is a good bit of it that's a big reunion and a lot of fun, because there are people here, who have changed jobs, and so we've worked together one place, and then, we reconnect later. And the Summit Conference does a really great job, I think, of putting leaders on stage who are, actively doing these projects and these case studies. I think there's a lot of value in that. Like, to hear what's working, what are they trying, and from the people who are leading those efforts, hands-on in the trenches, like working on a lot of these things.
That's a good point.
I like to hear it because that's what I'm doing. So it's nice to see my peers doing that.
You're right. Yeah, because it's the difference if you're talking about it or you're just giving Paul the information and he goes and talks about it. But not that he couldn't, but you're right. It's like the person that has the true pain throughout the process is the one that's talking about it. And you're right. There's a lot of value in that for sure.
Yeah, it's I don't want to say it's more tactical, because it's definitely strategic, but it does tackle kind of the why and the how. And I do like that. And I mean, I'm also going to say it's really nice to be at an event that you're not in charge of anything.
That is true. That is true. Well, thanks so much for doing this today. I appreciate your time, and I hope you have a great conference for the rest of the days we're here.
Thank you so much.